Hello, Raleigh. This is citizen reporter Robert Courts coming to you with an update from District E City Council member Christina Jones. Councilmember Jones, thank you for your time today.
Good afternoon. I hope you're staying safe in the weather. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. I appreciate you taking a minute between your busy schedules. Something came up in today's City Council meeting that is very relevant to District E, and I just wanted to take a minute or two to ask you about it.
Oops.
Specifically, it's the Streetscape study that has been going on for several months. There's been a lot of confusion with the citizens about the third meeting. When is it? Why was it? Has it already happened? Could you just take a minute to share with us what you shared at the council today?
Most definitely. So our 5-point streetscape study, which has actually been going on for a few years since I first was elected back in 2022, it's an issue that residents in 5 Points have been experiencing for a very long time, and that's crashes and danger, and how do we make this area safer? So we started this study back in 2022. We've had 2 in-person touch points that have been phenomenal, that have showed, hey, these are the ideas. We've got these roundabout plans, and what we've been able to implement in the meantime are some traffic light stuff to kind of change traffic patterns as we wait to finish the study. Well, this was 3 parts to it. We've completed 2 of those meetings, and the third one was supposed to be updated in the fall of last year, and it wasn't. So I asked about it at the last council meeting. And after I asked, the very next day, we got an email saying the final touch point of the streetscape study will be given on 5 days later on January 13th on a Zoom meeting. And I was like, oh, that's really, really quick. So I was confused because our last 2 had been in person and this one is now virtual. And so I asked questions and they said, oh, no, never mind. This wasn't intended to be the final touch point. The final one will be in March now. And so I said, oh, okay. It's a little confusing because it did say final, but all right, I can tell people that. And then the Monday that the meeting happened, there was a social media post where they again said the final touch point.
Yes.
And I got really confused because I said, I've been telling people that the final touch point is in March. And now we have a video saying that it's tonight. And so I spoke to transportation, spoke to communications as well. They did apologize because it was kind of messy that we now don't know which one is the final. But I just wanted to give the update that the final meeting will be in March. They haven't decided on a date or a location, but I'm hoping that it reflects those first 2 meetings that we had, in-person meetings that we had, so that residents can really understand what the plan is and make sure their voice is heard.
Well, as a resident and living near 5 Points, those first 2 meetings were phenomenal. There's a lot of feedback. There's a lot of options. So I'm very much looking forward to this next one. Do you have any idea what they may be telling us there? Not to steal their thunder, or is there any update specifically on the streetscape that you wanted to share with us?
Well, we had limited it down from like 9 options to 3 options, and all of those one of them isn't, but we have 2 options for a roundabout. What I do want to preface residents is that whatever that decision is, especially if it's that roundabout, it's gonna be pretty expensive, and we're talking between $20 and $25 million. So we really have to sit with that after this study is complete, and we have that recommendation for a future action to understand the gravity and how expensive that is. It is not funded currently, so we will have to find funding for that. If anybody would like to tell me or point me in the right direction where to find funding, that would be phenomenal. But we then have to do that next hurdle of finding that funding and then implementing the study. So really, this isn't the action item. It's just laying the groundwork so that we have a plan to move from when we do decide on what plan to go with in the future.
So planning's one part, funding's a whole nother, theoretically the harder part. And just to be clear, not going to happen in this budget cycle that we're starting now. So, but
no, we still have to get approval from DOT on it. It has to be slated. That is a DOT road, meaning that the city does not own it. The state owns that road right now. So there's a lot of approvals and conversations that need to happen in order to implement whatever we decide the future of that area will look like.
Right. It is Highway 70. So, it is a major highway, state owned. While I have you, if you don't mind me segueing, many of the citizens attended the CAC meeting that was leveraged by the city for this virtual streetscape meeting. And it didn't go very well, Councilmember Jones. It was bombed by some very unsavory characters. And that opens up a whole nother slate of questions about the city using a CAC in a Zoom meeting. Could you tell me how you feel about that?
That was my first concern when I read the email that said, oh, it's going to be at the Zoom meeting. I knew that it was going to be a CAC meeting, but we didn't advertise it as a CAC meeting. And back about 9 months ago, I was at a Midtown CAC meeting where we were doing a city presentation, and we were Zoom bombed there with some really racist comments that were horrific to say. At that point, we had to modify when we had reinstated CACs. We'd done 3 motions to bring them back. And one of them was to purchase a Zoom account for them. And I had received advice from our city attorney's office that said, we cannot buy that because we will open up ourselves for possible problems because we're not hosting that meeting. At that point, I was like, that makes sense. And so I've been telling CACs, we can't use Zoom. We can't purchase a Zoom for you due to the fact that we can't control it. So when this, fast forward to last week, when that email went out, it confused me because I said, wait, we knew 9 months ago that we couldn't use a Zoom account. And here we are piggybacking on the CACs, not acknowledging it was a CAC meeting and not a city meeting. So there was some frustration there as I was talking to staff, just saying, can we please not do that again? And we had a really amazing conversation, and they made sure to never do that again. And it's important that we hold, CACs accountable when we say, oh, the Zoom meeting was hacked. We can't do that. But it's also important that we hold staff accountable and say, don't masquerade and say that it's a city meeting when it's not, for those same reasons that you don't want the public to think that the city is hosting something that has been Zoom bombed with pornography, which was horrific. When you say that, it was pretty horrific.
Right. I think the city made a little boo-boo, but big consequences. And not just the 5 points, but the whole city potentially, when these unsavory characters get to come and do their thing, it really is quite frustrating.
And we as the city have protocols. We have things. We have a Teams account that could block all of that. And that's why if it was a city meeting, it would have been done on something like Teams, where it would be a webinar. So when we attach ourselves to an organization that doesn't have the same protocols, that was the whole reason we didn't purchase the account in the first place. So I just want to make sure that we maintain consistency in all of the things that we produce as the city.
Well, Councilmember Jones, thank you for taking a moment to speak with me. Also, I am very grateful that you are willing to use your time on the dais to bring this up and let your constituents know. Not everybody, not a lot of people really watch those meetings. So A, I appreciate you bringing it up. And B, I appreciate you taking a minute to share it on this forum with a larger audience.
Most definitely. And I get it. My meetings are not always the most thrilling. And there's a lot of information, a lot of heavy information. So I want to make sure that I have digestible pieces. And I really appreciate you giving me the space to share that so people better understand the conversations that seem to be happening behind closed doors, but they're not. We just don't have the platform to always share every detail. So thank you for helping me educate and communicate with the residents.
My pleasure. Lastly, if the residents have any more questions, what is the best way for them to reach you, Councilmember Jones?
Sure. My email address is Christina, CHRISTINA.Jones@RaleighNC.gov. Please never hesitate to reach out, or you can go to my website, Christina for Raleigh, with FOR, not the number 4, FOR spelled out. And you can contact me through there as well. So either works perfectly fine. And I look forward to conversations and discussions about this and other things that impact District E.
Well, Raleigh, you heard it here first. Remember, everything you need, Councilmember Jones and more, is in your backyard. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
No problem. Thanks so much. Have a good night.